want to introduce my good friend, Michael Hopkins, again, calling in from Colorado Springs. Michael is the founder and CEO of HighIQ, and I think he will tell us what HighIQ does best, much better than I would. So Mike, tell us about HighIQ and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So we started our agency about 7 years ago. We were focused specifically in the real estate mortgage niches. We started as a full service, just traditional lead generation and marketing company, helping agents and business owners generate leads off of Facebook, Instagram, pretty much any social media platform you can imagine. We evolved into an ISA company and had some really cool corporate contracts with some pretty large brokerages nationwide. That's how we ended up getting our start. And then we evolved from the human ISA element into the AI ISA element, of course, using tools like Thoughtly, which has been a fantastic transition. It has cannibalized our other business, but in all of the best ways. So it's been really fun to see that evolve over time.
Nice. And so at HighIQ, an ISA, I know what an ISA is, but for those who don't know what an ISA is.
Yeah, so that is an inside sales agent is what it stands for. It's essentially an appointment setter, or an SDR if you're in the traditional real estate, or excuse me, outside of the traditional real estate realm. So think appointment setter and kind of an admin that helps with a lot of your back office stuff. So yeah, people would hire our company, our call center in-house, and we would use humans to reach out to the leads that we were generating for our clients and set appointments. And that's what the ISA's responsibility was. And now, like I said, we leverage tools, AI tools to do that, AI text messaging, of course, as well. But our primary focus has been leveraging Thoughtly.
And as an ISA, why did you choose real estate as a target market? Obviously, an ISA is just for real estate primarily, but what made you pick real estate, and what indicators made it really stand out as a space ripe for this AI adoption?
Yeah, I worked in real estate for many years. Like I said, we had a lot of success marketing for a lot of some of the larger brokerages. So I was fortunate. I was already in the industry working there, but it became very quickly apparent that real estate agents, brokerages, teams, just the business in general, was typically a couple years behind on technology, and so there was a huge need for this type of help in the industry. And that was something that, as we were growing, we saw that we had a lot of solves for that type of stuff. And yeah, the main reason that we chose real estate outside of anything else, like originally, was it was a huge economy of scale. It was a business of scale. There's I think currently 1.6 million licensed real estate agents out there on the market right now. And so, we felt that we could make a really big impact. And above all else, it was a very scalable vertical for us.
Yeah, it definitely is. I have, I'm sure people feel similarly, but I know so many people in real estate. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law is in mortgages, which kind of leads me to ask a kind of follow-up here. You obviously did real estate first, but then you realized, and I remember this actually happening, correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhat recently, but you realized that the mortgage industry is also a great opportunity. Why did you do that and go that route?
Yeah, they go hand in hand, and we were getting naturally just a lot of direct referrals from real estate agents to their mortgage lenders, and then vice versa. As we were advertising to the real estate niche, there's a lot of crossover. And so in the same way that we help real estate agents, we help mortgage pros do the exact same thing. And very, very similar, identical really, sales cycles for a mortgage lender as a real estate agent, and they're the same clients. And so it was just an immediate and great fit for us. And that was, just naturally fell in our lap by way of referrals until we started actually marketing to them directly. But that's obviously direct crossover there. So it was an easy fit.
Nice. Yeah. That makes sense. I know that real estate agents, they always, to sell a house, you need money from the buyer, right? And some people, like myself, buying a house wouldn't have the money. So you got to go to a mortgage, you got to go to a lender. So that makes sense. These relationships are always very strong. And so aside from them, it was kind of later in your, career at HighIQ. How did you find your first customer then? It wasn't your friend or your mom or your family member. How did you get that customer?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things to talk about, actually, because it applies not just to our business, it applies to any business. Anytime somebody's trying to find customers, which is oftentimes why people are coming to us looking for solutions, like Thoughtly, is how do I leverage this to find my clients? And before I started this company, I was actually a door knocker for almost 11 years and was very, very successful in it. And so the very first clients that we picked up was just me picking up the phone and calling businesses, me literally driving to a business and asking to talk to the CEO or the general manager or the marketing director of whatever, and kind of wiggling my way into just having tangible conversations with people and showing them what we can do to help them. And so, yeah, the very first clients that we picked up was me calling them on the phone, having conversations, or me walking into offices.
Wow, I love that. Scrappy.
Scrappy.
Kind of how David and I started Thoughtly, same way. Obviously, software, so we weren't like knocking on doors, but
right.
I love that. I love that approach. And now, before we move to sort of the technology, with that being said, just some final background on HighIQ and where you stand today. You launched your product and you started when, and then where are you today in terms of how many customers you have and the scale that you're doing?
Yeah, so we formally launched our company about 4 years ago, grew it into the ISA company, marketing company, like I mentioned. We started working with Thoughtly about almost exactly a year ago, this month. So we have scaled to over 600 clients. We have an average ticket price of about $1,000 a month for most of our customers, and so that's where we're at now. And Thoughtly's been a pivotal aspect of us being able to do that, which has been a really, really fun, exciting thing to do. So it's been a wild ride, but honestly, I don't want to say the shiny object, because that's not what it is anymore, but it was brand new and there was a lot of interest in these types of products. And Thoughtly we've tried them all, right? We've tried every single product out there like it. And you guys have been a leader in, just the innovation and all the product updates and everything. And so that's been a huge, huge help. We always joke that, hey, we were some of the OGs over at Thoughtly, and I'm super, super glad that we were, because it has been, I don't mean a roller coaster in an up and down way, but just a really fun ride to be able to go along with. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at this point today.
I really appreciate that, man. So now we should actually dive into some of that, not just Thoughtly as tech, because this isn't just like all about Thoughtly, but there are a lot of things that you're using and a lot of different components that you're using to build sort of this product that you're building for customers. The last thing I'll say before we move to that is before I met Michael, it's kind of funny. I was inundated with his social media ads all over Instagram and Facebook. I could not get away from this and escape this guy. And then I met him and I'm like, oh, you're the guy who's trying to acquire me as a customer. So you were doing a really good job back then. That was like a year ago at social media marketing. So I think that you killed it there. But the end product itself is this HighIQ CRM. Can you tell us about that and how you made it? What is it?
Yeah, so one of the things that we really, really focused on was how to actually solve the problem for the client. And while Thoughtly and some of these other tech tools, they have all these different features, which is great. That Thoughtly and the integration here is a feature of an overall ecosystem. And so we built a lot on GoHighLevel is a really great tool. But then we integrate that in with all the other major CRMs. So there's lots of them in our niche, specifically like Follow Up Boss or real estate specific CRMs or Boomtown or Lofty or you name it. But the build that we have on our side is a mashup of many things: GoHighLevel, Thoughtly, Calendly, OpenAI, of course, and how we leverage all those things as an ecosystem to actually generate business for our clients. And that's ultimately the problem that we're trying to solve at the end of the day. People come to us because they're trying to make more money with these types of tools, and they just don't have the technology background and integration background that we obviously have, and that's one of the main reasons that people are coming to us as an integration company.
Interesting. So when you talk about integrations, What does that look like? What integrations are typically being used? Why is that a challenge? And why do you offer that as sort of like a part of what you do?
Yeah, so most of our clients are not tech people, and this is not something that's agnostic towards just our clients. Most small business owners are not tech people. Most people in general are not tech people,
Sure.
and it's very difficult to build something that's actually going to work. You have to spend a tremendous amount of time testing scripts and testing automations, and building all this stuff out. And I mean, I've worked at some pretty large corporate companies in the past too, and you go and use something like Salesforce, and these corporate companies have 5 people on staff that do nothing other than build Salesforce automations internally for the company. And oftentimes people just don't have the bandwidth to hire, train, and look for somebody. And the technology at the same time is so new that you can't just go and find somebody in a lot of cases and just hire them like, oh, you're going to be my AI guy now. And if you can do that, then that person is typically very expensive, like multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars a year expensive. And, that's not within reach of pretty much any small business in most cases. So, people are coming to us because we have a platform that's very, very well tested. I mean, inside of our system, we have literally over 700 automations that make that system performant. And it's proven. And so businesses can skip all that testing cycle and frustration and save time and ultimately save a lot of money to be able to plug into something that's already tested and working. And on top of just the techie automation side, we built, like I said, a pretty good size human ISA team internally. And that ISA service that we were using, we have really, really great scripts. And we built all of our AI scripts using the same tested, proven scripts that our humans were using to do the exact same work. And so we took all of our top performing ISAs, all of our top performing scripts, and then that's what we're using to build and use for the AI scripting and that infrastructure. So all of those things kind of cumulatively are a lot of the reasons why clients come to us, is they're looking for something that they can just plug into, the easy button, if you will, instead of trying to figure it out all out on their own or hire somebody internally to do that and then they're hiring us at a fraction of the cost that it takes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know if I were personally a real estate agent, I'm a total nerd. So, this is the kind of thing I would spend my time doing, and I probably would sell 0 houses. But the people who do sell houses, like my sister-in-law, she just had a baby and she's spending time obviously with her. And then the other time she's spending showing houses. And so what time does she have to sit down on a laptop? I don't think I've ever seen her on a laptop. So
Right.
It makes sense to use your product and your service. So you're using all of this in GoHighLevel. Are you using anything else? We're going to talk about Thoughtly in a second, but make.com or anything in between, or is it all on GHL?
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of our system builds are going to be internal to GHL. There are lots of tools like Make, and there's Pabbly, and there's Zapier that are out there that we can connect to other CRMs. We made the decision, for the most part, to do most of those integrations via direct API because it's just a little bit more stable. It cuts out the middleman. And then clients don't have to go and get another third-party tool. And that's a really big thing that we focus on, is software integration, meaning the opposite of segmentation. And most companies have a software tool for this and a software tool for that. So, and they have literally 15, 20 different tools and different systems that they have to log into and maintain. And GHL is a very, very capable CRM platform. And at the same time, they are also in most cases using their own CRM platform. And so we don't really use GHL as a alternative to what they're already using. We're building it and then making it productive inside of their CRM and integrating it on the back end via API to push and pull data back and forth automatically. So that way they can still be looking inside of one place to see all of their stuff. That's really, really important. The last thing just about any real estate agent needs or any business owner needs is another CRM to look at, or another tool to look at. And so we build in one place, but they're looking at everything in a different place. And that's a really important aspect of how we build stuff. So yeah, some of those other integrations like Make, Zapier are certainly feasible. And they take a little bit less technical knowledge on how to use something like that. And so if you're building on it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with integrating that way, but we do most everything via direct API. Primarily, there's less things to break.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. So now pivoting over to Thoughtly, when you're speaking to potential customers, how do you pitch the AI calling solution or that kind of idea? What are some objections you hear during the sales process? How do you respond, and what does that typically look like?
Yeah, so the primary objections that we get, ironically, as it is, it's objections like, well, I can tell that it's AI. And the main issue that all of our clients are ultimately trying to solve, and this is not, again, exclusive to real estate, but the main issue that all clients are trying to solve primarily is getting the leads that they have worked appropriately over time. And this is particularly important, although it is particularly important to real estate agents, because it's such a long sales cycle. And most salespeople, even outside of real estate, are focused on what is immediately in front of them. And so they get a lead, they could be out doing other business stuff. They're out on showings, they're out looking at houses with their clients. They're in escrow at the title company, whatever the case might be. And you get a lead, you're advertising on Facebook. And I'm sure most of you in this room have heard of the speed to lead conundrum that most business owners face. And I'm making this number up, but it's a really big number where every 5 minutes that lead goes uncontacted, as soon as you get it, the chances of ever getting a hold of them go down to like 80% every 5 minutes. And that is a real thing. And so the speed to lead problem is a really big problem that we're solving with a tool like Thoughtly. And so we might get an objection saying, well, I can tell that it's AI. First of all, and for anybody who's looking at building an agency, this is probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you. So I'd write this one down. The goal is not to trick somebody into thinking that they're talking to a human. The goal is to provide the information and get them connected to the expert as quickly as possible. And so we get this lead and the speed to lead issue goes away. Somebody submits information on a lead form off of your website or off of Facebook or Instagram or a Google pay-per-click ad or local services. It doesn't matter. They immediately get contacted. They're getting contacted via phone call in a really interactive way. And we actually recommend to all of our clients, like, hey, let people know and write in the script. We build it in, and you don't have to do this, of course, but we build it into the script. Like, hey, I'm the digital assistant, or I am the AI assistant for XYZ company, and I'm calling you to help you with this thing that you just asked for. And so the goal isn't to trick somebody into thinking that they're talking to a human. It's to get them that information as quickly as possible. And kind of coaching your clients through that, that's when that little, we get a lot of those aha, oh, that makes sense moments when we're discussing this. And in most cases, people think it's really cool. I mean, it's so conversational, and it does such a great job of handling objections. And we have a lot of this stuff built into our scripts, but it does such a great job. If you let people know right up front, they tend to do a couple of things. They think it's really cool. They like talking to it because it's just fun, to just this concept, this idea that you can talk to a robot and get your questions answered. And in the event that somebody does get upset, well, no, I want to talk to a human. Cool, we've got the live transfer feature, and it transfers them to a human, and it connects them to the expert, and it accomplishes the goal that we're trying to accomplish anyway. And so the big thing is taking care of the speed to lead problem, making sure that they're getting contacted at all. In our industry, there's a stat that just came out: 74% of real estate agents did 0 transactions so far this year. And there's a reason for that. One, they're not doing lead generation. They're not working their databases. They're not working their sphere of influence, but they just don't have the business processes in place that they can create this assembly line in their business. And so that's a really long way for me to answer your question, Torrey. But the reality is, Thoughtly is a tool that helps create the assembly line, helps qualify, helps you get your time back, helps you with the speed to lead issue, and helps make sure that the leads get contacted even at all, let alone 18 times over the next week. Like, that's a really, really powerful thing and solves a huge problem for any business, not just real estate agents.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing piece of advice. We also say that as well. People who ask like, oh, will I know it's an AI or a human? That's beside the point, right? And it's like you're building something that will help someone get what they need. So I think that's very well said. I don't think I could say it better, Mike. That's really, really nice the way you put that. So I have two more quick questions for you. And I'd love for, while you're answering these, if anyone has any questions, to put it into the chat or the Q&A function of the Google Meet. We'll get to those right after these last 2 points. Want to know first, Mike, what is a specific success story where an AI agent from Thoughtly made a measurable difference for a particular client?
There at this point, we have too many to count, which is really cool. And just like the number of unprompted video testimonials that we get with, building these products for clients and solving these problems is one, very heartwarming and makes me blush, but it's really cool. So there's so many to count, but I'll never forget. There's a few that stand out to me. I'll never forget, we got this call from a guy who had started with us. They're 2 weeks into onboarding, and he hit the go button. We turned everything on. He's doing a pretty good sized database reactivation. And these were, keep in mind, some fresh leads that he had gotten, and he was out fishing with his family and his team, and his phone was just blowing up, and an appointment was just set, an appointment was just confirmed, an appointment was just set, an appointment was just confirmed. And he, in the first 20 minutes of turning this thing on, he got 28 appointments set and completely filled up his calendar for the next 10 days with client reactivation campaigns, people that were looking at buying and selling houses out of his database in 20 minutes while he was out fishing. And that was just a really cool, it was a cool thing to see. And just like, check mark on the, I'm doing things for people, like that was a really cool success story where he just called and freaked out. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. That was a great success story. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I've last time I went fishing, that did not happen. So
I know.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And last question, what is next for HighIQ? How do you plan to continue staying ahead as it gets more competitive, especially AI in real estate? No one in this call is going to build AI for real estate. Just kidding. But, this will happen, right? And so how do you innovate and stay ahead in this market?
Yeah, couple of things. One of them is a philosophy, and it would be a little piece of advice anybody who's thinking about starting their agency, and it ties into your question directly. Really focus on going 2 layers deep. Your clients have problems, and the problems that they have are generally pretty easily solved with ecosystems like this, but really focusing 2 layers deep. So how do you solve the problems for your clients' clients? Less focus on your client's immediate problem. And what I mean by that is, if you look at our case, we serve a lot of real estate agents, and they have leads of people who want to buy and sell houses. And we had to get really, really good at figuring out what value our clients, what value the real estate agents could actually bring to their leads and to their clients, and solve that problem. And that might sound, like some hyperbole, but that's a really, really important thing to focus. And that is an innovative philosophy, in my opinion. If you can really focus on the problems that your clients are facing, and figure out how to present value to them through your client, you're going to have a lot of success, a tremendous amount of success in your business. And simplification. So, this is a really important aspect, because there's all these really cool tools out there, like GHL and Salesforce is a great example of this. All CRM systems, all ecosystems like this have 500,000 different features. People are going to plug into something, and they're going to use 5% of that thing in most cases. So keeping something really, really simple and keeping it productive for your client is a really big aspect of one, what we're currently focusing on, and what everybody else should focus on too, in my opinion, is keep it simple. If you've heard the KISS, keep it stupid simple. That's a really, really important aspect of how we stay competitive. It's this kind of go easy button, and it's so simple that anybody can just plug into it and go really, really fast.
No, that's really well said. Thank you for that, Mike. I've got some great questions, and I'm actually going to pull up this slide here. If you are a real estate agent, or you're in real estate generally, please talk to Michael. I don't know if you heard the last 30 minutes, but clearly he provides a lot of value to you if you're in that space. If you are interested in integrating AI into your agency, Mike, in like 15 seconds, because I want to get these questions, what is going to happen here if they scan this code?
Yeah, so you can come in and get a consultation with us, and I'll actually be talking with anybody who's interested directly myself and give you some in-depth, deep dive strategy on what we do and how we implement and integrate that into your business. Also, if you're an agency owner that is looking to build out some of these tools, I'm happy to jump in, and we have some really great agency-related products that can help you quick launch these types of services into your business and offer them to clients. So ultimately, jump in there, schedule a meeting with us, and completely complimentary. We're just here to have a conversation and show you what types of things are possible more than anything, and it'll be a fun one. So yeah, anybody who's interested in talking with me a little bit further, I'm happy to chat with you.
That's cool. Appreciate that, Mike. All right, let's get to these questions. I think these are two really good ones from Jake, and similar to Henley's question, how do you do usage and handle individual billing for each client? I see that Thoughtly, it has usage data, but it doesn't, well, I know we don't do the billing. Are you charging a high enough flat fee that gives buffer to cover usage? And do you have a dashboard for clients? And how do you manage reporting to clients?
Yeah, so and that's a great question. Unfortunately for us, is we have clients that might work a total of 50 leads over the course of the month and use very little usage. And then we have clients that have 250,000 leads and they're obviously really, really, really high usage. And so we don't have a flat fee. We take care of everything billing solution. We do discuss the usage fees case by case with our clients and set up a good expectation for them based off of what their expected usage is. We actually have like a nice little calculator that says, okay, hey, if you plug into our system, here's how many times we call that lead for you over the course of the first month, assuming a 30% pickup rate and assuming each one of those conversations last 2 minutes apiece, then this is about, and we way overestimate, by the way. We say, hey, this is kind of the type of usage that you're looking for, which is compared to hiring a human, saves you this much money. And that's a really, really important thing. And people are going to ask you questions about billing. And at the same time, it is so much less expensive. We kind of downplay it in a way and make it sound really, really silly. Like, hey, if you were to hire an ISA, one of our humans right now, that's going to cost you $5,000 a month. And that ISA can only call 300 people a day at most on a multi-line dialer if they're having any type of conversations. So how long is it going to take them to get through this list of 20,000 leads that you have? Probably a while. So you actually probably need to, if you want them all called in the first month, you probably need to hire like 4 humans. So what's the cost to you? Okay, it's going to be 20 grand a month to hire that same type of person. And they have human problems, and obviously the AI doesn't. And so those are all little things that we kind of put into context for our clients when we're talking about the usage, which I do think is really important. But to answer the latter half of your question, we do have a dashboard for billing because we have our fees, and then there are obviously Thoughtly fees. And they can see everything all aggregated in one place, and we just keep them completely separate. And we talk about the transparency. We think that transparency is really, really important. Like, hey, here's how much you're paying us for the stuff that we're doing. Here's how much you're paying Thoughtly for usage, and that keeps it really, really clean.
That makes sense. And I actually have a question here, and a good point from Magnus. So Magnus is in Sweden, and he said that it's great that you are essentially not caring about the fact that it's AI or human, because in Sweden, or at least in the EU, it seems that you can't lie. You have to say it is an AI. So that works very well. But then he asked, did you use a Thoughtly voice agent to contact any potential clients?
Yes. In fact, we always demo and let people interact with all of our clients. So we do a lot of social media marketing. Like Torrey mentioned earlier, he couldn't get away from our ads. That's kind of an intentional thing. So as soon as somebody clicks on something, they're in remarketing audiences, they're seeing a whole bunch of stuff from us. And as soon as they fill out a form, we contact them using the exact same process that we recommend to all of our clients. And so we practice what we preach. And when they're on a live demo, we have like, a dozen different scripts that people can listen to. And we have like a really nice sales presentation that we go over and can listen to, either recordings of them, but we always try to actually get them onto a live conversation. And also, it's cool that you're from Sweden. My wife was born in Sindelfingen, Germany, and her mom is from Malmo. So good at you, my fellow Swede. Yeah, that is a really, really great point too. In Sweden, you're following GDPR rules and legislation, and I would not be surprised if the U.S. follows suit on certain things, like the TCPA. I wouldn't be surprised is going to actually say, hey, you have to disclose that it's AI. That hasn't happened yet, but it's already a good practice, I think, to recommend to your clients, and then that pivot doesn't even need to happen if they're already following that process. So yeah, that's great.
Michael, do you have 2 minutes to answer 2 more questions?
Yeah, I've got as much time as you guys need, so I'm here.
Okay, I appreciate that. I want to make sure you can get on to running HighIQ, but one question that I really like here is how do you build memory for the AI so that if the prospect calls in a second time or is called a second time, it remembers the first conversation or any sort of details about that person?
Yeah, great question. There are actually a lot of instances where you don't want the memory. We actually really like building in the memory where you can take metadata out of a field and push it back into the conversation. And actually, I think that Thoughtly is working on doing some stuff where there can be native memory storage, as a matter of fact, on the roadmap. So currently what we do is we take the transcript of the most recent call and we push that into a field inside of the CRM. And we can push that field, if somebody calls back, we can push that metadata back into a node inside of the script, so it can actually recall the previous information if that's necessary. And it's cool to hear some of those conversations. Like there was one I just listened to the other day where the person had a baby, and it was not a good time to buy a house right that second. They just had a baby. We need a little bit of time, and the AI follows up with them and referenced the fact, hey, I know last time that you just had a baby. And so that was a really cool reference point, and that's a great way of doing it, is just pushing metadata back and forth between the systems.
That's a great answer, and that's really cool that it can do that. One other question I have here from Ife is, apart from Genius and using the follow advanced rules thing that Will often recommends, what other ways can you focus the agent and prevent hallucinations and make sure that it follows the instructions you provide to it?
Yeah, so Thoughtly has this really great feature called, it's in each node, there's additional rules. And so we'll do something like you put in the beginning of the actual speak node, we'll put like asterisk, asterisk, and then in bracket, follow additional rules for the objective of this bracket. And a great example is, and this is kind of like the early days of Thoughtly when we figured this out, and this, we hardly ever have to even use it like this anymore, but where, for example, in the script, we ask a question, are you interested in X, Y, or Z? Are you interested in buying a home, selling a home, or maybe both? And they might respond, well, I'm thinking about doing both. And it would jump to a node where it would go, okay, cool. Are you a first-time home buyer? Well, that's clunky because obviously we know that they're not a first-time home buyer because they have a house to sell, right? So what we would do is we would put into brackets in the beginning of the speech node, hey, if somebody says, well, first of all, follow additional rules for objective, right? And then in the additional rule, if somebody says that they are interested in selling a home, or if they say that they're interested in doing both, go to the part of the script that says this instead. And there's all sorts of different use cases for why you would want to do that. And so doing some like internal prompting at the beginning of your speak nodes is a great way of keeping it really, really focused and putting up some bumpers where you don't have that script creep. The other way of doing this is what we call kind of like a scriptless script, where you pretty much put the entire scripting framework in the advanced prompting with, hey, these are the general questions that you need to get answered. And until you get these questions answered, keep the conversation going. And then once you get all these questions answered, now you can close out the conversation and you have it loop. And there's some fun scripting frameworks that I'd be happy to show. Anybody who wants to see that a little bit more in depth, jump on a call with me. And I'm happy to show you some of the more advanced prompting with that.
That's very interesting. Michael and Will, the professional Thoughtly builders. I love that. These are things that I built the thing. I don't even know that this is, you can do this. So that's very interesting. I want to end on, we have more questions, of course, but Will and I are going to get to them with everyone else, but I want to make sure, Michael, you can stick around if you want to kind of answer or hang out, but I want to make sure you can go run your business. So let's just end with this. Tell us, again, a reminder, if we scan this QR code, what can we get from it? And what's next for HighIQ? And what should we tell every real estate agent we know so that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, anybody can visit our website. It is HighIQ.io. And anybody who scans this QR code, again, you'll get a one-on-one consultation with me. Go over some advanced use cases. If you are interested in building this as a product for your agency, we have some agency products for anybody who is a business owner or a real estate agent who wants to implement this into their business and wants a little bit of help with that. We can talk to you about some deep dive strategy on what we can do for you, and just have a conversation about what's possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michael. This was a really productive chat. I learned something today. I learned quite a few things today. So really appreciate your time. And yeah, I mean, we'll be in touch soon, everybody. We'll sign up on this QR code. Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. So if anyone wants to stick around, we are going